21-day EMA and the 50-day EMA, based on your experience and research? Can you comment on that?
It's a great question. It's really relative to the stock itself, and so there's not a hard and fast rule. Back in the day, I used to use the 10-day, and I would use extended over that, and I did a study, and I found that like a 15 to 17% above that was kind of the sweet spot that you want to be taking in profits. But really, I think if you were to do it's a version of like an ATR, the average true range, and so you're comparing different stocks. So like if Costco were to be extended over its 21-day, it's going to be a lot different than a Fastly or a Tesla. I think it's dangerous to use percents above it. There's a lot more to it. You can take the Webby RSI and swap it out and use the high instead of the low, and use that for individual stocks, and then plot that and see where it is hit maximum levels in the past, and use that as your guide, and rather than a hard number. I think hard numbers it just don't really work.
Excellent.
Just my opinion,
Yeah, we've had some investors' corners that noted that when a stock, after breaking out, has got the true characteristics of a real market leader, is over 100% above the 200-day moving average. That's usually a time when you want to be looking for some of those early sell signals. But your point about how, hey, there's no hard and fast rule. You got to really understand the character of stock. I think that's very meaningful.
And to that point, Dave, I mean, I remember talking with Bill about this, because that 100% above the 200-day was in his book, and I brought it up one time, and he looked at the stock and he's like, "No, that doesn't bother me." He's like that he almost discounted it. So he definitely used it as a warning sign. But if you didn't have the other elements of like a climax top, he wouldn't get worried. So it just kind of, it was one thing that he would notice would sometimes be in there, but not always. And so he would always look at that daily or weekly price action. That's his ultimate guide.
Fantastic point you're making, exactly. And we're not at all, just like what Justin's saying, we're not at all saying that particular gain above the 200-day line is an outright black and white sell signal. Not at all. You really want to look at it from multiple viewpoints. Now, Webby, we do have a minute or two, maybe a little bit longer. Hey, I want you to give your chance to share this story that you've been wanting to share for, I think it's been weeks now, right, man?
Yeah, because I'm long-winded, so it does create a problem. And Chris, really, if you needed me, get the truck, the loan truck, go ahead. But I think
a lot of build-up for the story, so it better be good.
Oh, dude, now my voice
Justin
is going
took
to go,
the
thanks,
words right
Justin.
out of my mouth.
Cool, dude, I will get you back. Don't worry about it. Look, so the only time I ever said no to Bill was when he asked me to do seminars with him, which is funny because that's what I always wanted to do, but I didn't have the nerve to, literally my entire life, I was scared to talk to a third person. So one-on-one, I was fine. You get three people in a conversation, and I was like a turtle, and I couldn't even speak. I didn't have my voice problem back then. And so he tells me, Mike, we're doing this seminar, and so doesn't want to do it anymore, and I'd really like you to do it. And I'm like, no, and he's like, and he like stepped back. I've never said no to anything to him. And I said, Bill, I'd rather do, seriously clean the toilets in the building rather than speak in front of people. He's like, well, everything backwards and forwards. What's the problem? I go, I'm scared to talk to people. Like I was a kid at school who was just scared when the teacher was going to call on you. So anyways, I thought I got away with murder. And like a month later, and he goes, okay, so we're going to be doing this seminar in Dallas, and you're going to be speaking. So I'm freaking out, right? I'm like, so this is where the kind of the moral of the story is. I prepared for everything. I had all my charts down backwards and forwards, and then I didn't want to let anything go to chance. And so I packed like it was one day, I packed like 3 suits, like 7 shirts, 3 belts. I had multiple shoelaces. I had all this stuff. And then someone told me, hey, you might lose your luggage, bring a carry-on. So I could not, I had a new pair of shoes and an old pair of shoes. And, I'm like, okay, it won't fit. So which one should I do? I'm like, okay, I should be comfortable on stage. I'm going to bring the old pair of shoes. Anyways, fast forward, I get there, I'm practicing, I'm getting ready to go down to the event, and I'm in the hospital, it felt like it was a hospital. I was in the hotel, and I'm ready, and I go to put on my freaking shoes, and because everything had been so squished and Dallas was hot, the soles of my shoes had come undone. And so I went from like all prepared to now I have no freaking shoes. My blood pressure was through the roof, and I'm freaking out. I'm like supposed to be on stage like soon. And so I run down, try to buy super glue with the thing. Super glue isn't working. I'm going to Justin remembers. And, I'm like, what do I do? And I go to the concierge. They send this guy out to the local Target to buy me the worst pair of shoes ever in my entire life. Like 5 minutes before I go on stage, I get these shoes. I'm just so thrilled. So now my fear of public speaking had gone away because I was so scared I was going to go up there, follow my idol, Bill, and be shoeless on stage with a suit. So there is a moral. There is a point. You can prepare for anything, and bad stuff can happen. So you never know. Something out of the blue can happen. Still do your preparation, but just realize in the battle, in the battle, something can come out of the blue, and you just have to adjust for it. So that was a 30-minute story wrapped up into a few. Did I do okay?
You did great. I think the moral of the story, I thought the entertainment value, the fact that you said no to Bill O'Neill. I mean, this is
that was hard. That was
a historic 198th episode. I can't wait for your story on the 200th episode, which will be on Thursday. We'll all be back same time, same place tomorrow. We'll get out that live Q&A summary plus 2 key stock lists, the watch list, the ready list, as well as those top mutual funds that help you find those stocks that are really undergoing institutional accumulation. Thanks to Chris, to Mike, Scott, Justin, Ed, and Allie, and I think maybe Ken might have been. Well, Ken didn't make it this time, but thanks to everyone to assist us in answering 202 questions. I think that was really, really solid here. As you know, we never can get to all of them, but we hope that the Q&A interaction also helps you on the path to bigger profits and better trading. Well, thanks again. Really appreciate your support for IBD Live. Look out for that Q&A summary in a couple hours. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks again.